Hello, students. In the past few classes, we have completed Unit 1 and Unit 2 of paper Knowledge and Curriculum. Now we are going to begin with the unit number 3. So, in this unit, we are going to study conceptual framework of curriculum. We have discussed the various schools of Western and Indian philosophy and their point of views on curriculum. But now we are going to study this particular topic in detail. So, the word curriculum has been derived from a Latin word meaning a race or race course, or to say run, because it is associated with the course of study as curriculum. So, curriculum in its totality is all the learning to which students are exposed during their study in the school. According to the Secondary Education Commission, curriculum is defined as the totality of experiences the pupil receives through multiple activities that goes on in the school, in the classroom, laboratory, workshops, playground, and in the numerous informal contacts between the teacher and the pupil. Before diving deep into the topic, let us discuss the nature or the characteristics of curriculum. So, curriculum as a set of objectives can be seen as a means of achieving specific educational goals and objectives. So, in this sense, a curriculum can be regarded as a checklist of desired outcomes. In the curriculum development process, generally speaking, the objectives are clear and specific in behavioral and observable terms. While as a course of study or content, curriculum can be understood as a process of selecting courses of study or content. In this sense, a curriculum also either describes or prescribes the content and goals of formal instruction, but also lays the means of instruction out of the foreground of focus. Although this use of curriculum appears similar to the above mentioned definition, curriculum as a set of objectives in terms of inclusion of goals, in fact, there is a different focus. Curriculum can also be seen as plans since it combines content with instructional methods and hence has a wider scope than the former two curricular paradigms because of the inclusion of methods. So, Tom canvasses curriculum as a plan for teaching or instruction, and Pratt conceives it as a plan for sustained process of teaching and learning with a specific focus on content and the process of teaching and learning. Curriculum can also be seen as documents since it is an outline of course program that is written on a piece of paper. Thus, it has become associated with the official written program of study published by ministries or departments of education, local authorities or boards of education, and commercial firms or teams of educational specialists working on specially funded projects. Lastly, curriculum can also be seen as experiences. So instead of regarding it narrowly as formalized classroom content or perspective learning objectives, it may be useful to think of them more holistically as programs for experiences. Kelly identified three kinds of curriculum based on their nature: planned curriculum, which means what is laid down in the syllabus; received curriculum, which refers to the reality of students' experiences; thirdly, hidden curriculum, which is the knowledge that implicitly students learn in school. Objectives of curriculum are to attain defined goals of education, to provide essential and useful knowledge to learners, and to provide creative and flexible approaches to learning and teaching. Also, to provide more focus on environmental education, provide vocational text manner, to offer an innovative curriculum developed with the aspirations and interest of the student at the center, to make effective use of ICT and new technologies to motivate and inspire students, to nurture close partnerships with local and international organizations, giving students a wide range of opportunities to experience the world of work. And lastly, also to provide opportunities for students to extend their learning beyond the formal curriculum. Some principles of curriculum are principle of utility, so which says curriculum should be useful rather than decorative, and it must have practical utility for students. Another principle is that of child centeredness. Modern education is being considered as child centered, so the curriculum should also be child centered. It should be based on child's needs, interests, abilities, aptitude, age level, and circumstances. Another principle is of community centeredness. This principle states that the individual development and the social development of the child deserve equal attention in the society. His needs and desires must be in conformity with the needs and desires of the society in which he lives. Similarly, another principle is that of activity centeredness. There's also the principle of interrelation of subject. So, under this principle, the pupils are to be provided with selected experiences through various subjects and activities, but these must be well integrated. This principle of development of culture and civilization, the main function of education is this, and this is essential for human progress as well. Culture consists of traditions, customs, attitudes, skill, values, and knowledge. There are principles of creativity, flexibility, and balance, since the curriculum should be able to develop the creative powers of a child. It must also be dynamic and changed with the changing times. And lastly, it must maintain a balance between subjects and activities, direct and indirect experiences, academic and vocational education, compulsory and optional subjects, and so. Now, there are different types of curriculums as well. But before that, let's just discuss quickly the process of curriculum making. So, in the process of curriculum making, step one is curriculum planning. It is a process in which participants at many stages make decisions about what the purpose of learning is ought to be and how these purposes might be carried out. And then the second step is curriculum design. So the framework or structure is called as design. The curriculum design provides a basis for classifying and organizing the curriculum opportunities offered by the school. Then there is curriculum development, the third step, in which a specified area of work which expects a teacher to have a deep understanding of the underlying concepts of curriculum and also the skills to systematically design learning experiences to achieve socially desired goals. It is a continuous and never ending process. Step 4 is curriculum implementation. It is the process of proper management of the curriculum, the basis of curriculum implementation and transaction. It considers the social philosophy of the society, nature of course, type of examination, growth and development, and recommendations of commissions and committees related with curriculum. The last step is that of curriculum evaluation, in which obtaining and providing information useful for making decisions is included about curriculum development and implementation. The process of evaluation is undertaken in order to determine the strengths and weaknesses of an existing curriculum so that improvements can be made. It is dynamic and a cyclic process. So these are the 5 steps in the process of curriculum. Some factors affecting curriculum are government policies and rules. So there are different government, state, district, schools and teachers. All these play different roles in influencing the development of curriculum. Then there's social change, developing a relevant curriculum which takes into account society's expectations, accommodating various group traditions and promoting equality. Some other factors are economic conditions, technological changes, and environmental influences. Lastly, psychological behavior also affects curriculum, which includes developmental studies for educators, aging, infancy, childhood, or adolescence, lifespan development, and biological basis of development. In the next class, we are going to study curriculum organization and the various types of curriculum.